Surprise, surprise, a tech YouTuber buys something, reviews it, and returns it, and makes one of these videos. Well, in my particular case, that was never the intention. As a matter of fact, when I bought the MacBook Air, it was actually going to be my new production machine. The whole reason I bought it was for this channel. And it was darn good. I mean, in some ways it was great, but I still sold it. I know what you're thinking. Why did you do it, Travis? Why did you do it? Well, good news. I'm going to tell you all about it right after this.
This is, you listening to Travis.
What up, players? Welcome back, and for all you new people, welcome. My name's Travis, and I do tech videos every single week and have a blast doing them. If that sounds like fun to you, sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. Anything I talk about will be in the description below, but for now, let's just get into the video. Now, if you've been on my channel for any length of time over the last couple of months, you've probably seen a couple of the MacBook Air videos I've done. I've done comparisons, I've done unboxings, which I normally don't even do. I've done first impressions, I've done all the things, because it's a pretty remarkable piece of hardware. I even collabed with iJustine, I've done all the things. I've been super extra about this particular product because I think it absolutely deserves it. It's perhaps one of the best values in laptops today. I'll talk a little bit about why it's such a good value and why I kind of liked it, but still had to sell it. But make sure you hit that subscribe button if you have not already done that, and watch some of the older videos I've already done. Even putting Windows on this was kind of an adventure. It was super easy, and yet another reason why this is still one of the best values in laptops. Now, like I said, the reason that I actually purchased this in the first place was a little bit of curiosity, but mainly to be able to use Final Cut Pro as my video editing software. I currently edit all my videos on my iPad Pro, and I wanted to try to step up and try something different. And the MacBook Air was pretty reasonably priced, so I figured, why not? And when I first got it, as you saw in the video, as I unboxed it and took it out and messed around with it, I was actually really impressed with it. Super liked it. I thought it was a great laptop. I tell you, it was almost like love at first sight, but not nearly as much as my friend Tasif has. He has a YouTube channel with tech, and he does a great job, and did an intro about selling his MacBook Pro, which I just kind of felt like you guys needed to see. So I'm going to share that with you right now, and a link to his channel will be in the description below.
It all started on November 10th, 2020. I still remember that day like it was yesterday. That's when I came into his life. I was the first M1 MacBook Pro he ever held. We spent a lot of time together. Life was great. But it all started to change in April 2021. I knew that smile on his face. It was the same look when I was the latest tech. So I knew what was coming. It was inevitable. I was phased out.
If you've watched a couple of videos on this channel, you know that I've basically been saying this is the best value laptop out there. Not just because of the power, performance, and battery life you get out of it, and the fact that the M1 processor is really absolutely amazing, but also you can load Windows on it. Did a video about that. And that's for the people who said that they don't want to move to Mac and they're really a Windows type person. At this point, I really feel like there was no reason that you could say that this laptop wasn't excellent. Unless you're a gamer. Okay, fine. You're going to get something else. But for 99% of the people out there looking for a laptop, this thing is it. But a couple of years ago, I actually became of the mindset that tablets are actually what most people need at home. With the exception of actual production work, most people are either browsing or swiping or whatever, and all of those things can be done on a tablet, and the iPad is ideal for that. And iPads don't need to have a keyboard connected at all times, so it's always a smaller form factor, and carrying it around the house or using it around the house for me it's just easy. Plus, I only actually use my iPad Pro for production work, but if I ever wanted to take it out while I'm watching TV, that's pretty simple. And for me, it's actually better to have something like that with a touchscreen rather than a keyboard while I'm sitting there watching TV, like if I want to look something up very fast. Now, some people use their phone, that's fine, but I like to kind of put my phone aside and use something with a bigger screen once I'm home. And since you're used to all day using a touchscreen, it just makes sense that when you come home, you have a larger version of your touchscreen phone. Laptop, on the other hand, just feels more like work. But perhaps most importantly for me, I just really could never get through Final Cut Pro and get myself at a level that I felt happy with quickly. Whenever I wanted to put up a video fast, I never went to my MacBook Air. I always had to go to my iPad Pro. I'm just really fast and efficient with LumaFusion. Love it, works great. It's worked great on this channel for a while, and it's going to continue to work great. That doesn't mean that the MacBook Air is not a great product. It absolutely is, and I think for most people, it's what they should buy. Now, I actually recently did a video where I talked about the MacBook Air versus the iPad Pro. And I did that because I wanted to show people the power of the M1 and what it looks like in a tablet versus a laptop. But I need to be clear. The conclusion I came to in that video, which I guess I can link in the description below because you probably should watch that, is not the same conclusion I'm coming to here. It's actually quite the opposite, but for a different reason. You see, the vast majority of people could get a base level iPad, which has the A12 processor, which is ridiculously fast and powerful, and do pretty much everything they need to do. And this has been the case for a very long time. I can't remember the last time I used a laptop at home really for anything. Now, some people will say gaming is a concern, but I guess, really, to be honest, even a laptop, as good as it can be for gaming, isn't as good as a desktop. So if you're really hardcore into gaming, you should be using a desktop. And as far as any kind of apps or anything that you should be using or would be using on a laptop, at this point, the iPad pretty much has it covered. Plus, even the base level iPad at just over $300 is more powerful than most laptops, twice that price, and more portable. You see, to me, not having to have a keyboard attached to it just makes it ultra portable, and I love the iPad mini. Like, the form factor of that thing is incredible. And by the way, I actually challenged my best friend to do this a couple of years ago, and he resisted for the longest time. But when he finally went to an iPad, he told me many months afterwards that I was absolutely right. The vast majority of people that are home using laptops don't really need a laptop. They could use an iPad. Less expensive, sometimes more powerful, and substantially more usable in my estimation. You don't have to worry about as many viruses and all the other things that happen with a laptop. Plus, it's just more usable. So for me, it's always come down to using tablets first. And it just turned out that I wasn't really reaching for my MacBook Air whenever I needed to do production work. And that's, of course, the reason I bought it. And since I was so fast and so accurate with LumaFusion on my iPad, I just really never used the MacBook Air. I just never really reached for it. So why am I going to leave a $1,000 plus laptop sitting unused? That's just dumb. I've been running my channel off an iPad Pro for the last couple of years, and I gotta tell you, it's just been really easy to deal with. Battery life is great, it's easy to move around, and if I need a keyboard, I can attach one. And if I don't, I don't have to. And touchscreen editing for me, there's nothing like it. I've said this a million times, I just think editing on an iPad is just substantially easier than on a desktop or a laptop, for me anyway. And I just enjoy the experience to another degree. So it just didn't make any sense for me to have a MacBook Air with Final Cut that I wasn't actually using, and then keeping the iPad Pro as well. So the Air had to take an L. Now, if we get Final Cut Pro on the iPad Pro, that's a different story, because now I'm editing with touch. I'll have an opportunity to not only have to not relearn an operating system like I did with macOS, but then just kind of learn software within my own confines of the iPad. I like that. It's all I need for most of the things I'm using it for, and for everything else, I have a regular desktop. So in my situation, it's perfect, and I just don't need a MacBook. But it doesn't mean I won't get one of the new MacBook Pros if you guys really want me to get one and test it out. You know how that goes. So basically, if you're home and you need to use Zoom or Skype or Facebook or whatever, all those things work on an iPad. So I don't think you actually need a laptop. There might be some instances where if you're working from home and you need to do a lot of production stuff, you need a laptop, fair. But my guess is the vast majority of people who have a laptop at home and they're using it, especially for entertainment purposes, don't actually need that. Also, when it comes to the actual usability of the operating system of macOS, I just never really caught on to it. I could have spent more time with it, but the reality is my time is money, and I need to be able to do what I need to do fast. And I just didn't have a lot of extra time to learn the operating system so I could be more efficient in it. That's not really the fault of Mac OS. I think it's actually a pretty good OS. It's just that I didn't have time. And that's not something I would ever hold against it. I think it's just different than what I'm used to coming from Windows. Nothing wrong with that. I think it's absolutely excellent what it does. And I would never hold that against it in recommending that laptop to someone else. Again, you can load Windows on it if you absolutely need to, but I don't need any of that. I just don't. And I just don't have the time to try to learn something to be as efficient as I am on something that I already own.